I stood in my childhood bedroom, staring at an empty savings account statement on my laptop screen. The wedding fund my grandparents left me, $68,000, was completely gone. My twin sister Madison's engagement photos smiled up at me from the family group chat. My parents texted me 3 hours ago. "We borrowed your fund for Madison's wedding. You'll understand. She needs it more." My fiancée Rachel sat beside me, her diamond ring catching the afternoon light. Our wedding was in 4 months. The venue deposit was due next week. Rachel's hand trembled as she held mine. Her voice came out small, barely a whisper. "There has to be some mistake. Your parents wouldn't just take that money without asking." I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to believe her so badly. But the bank statement didn't lie. The account my grandparents had set up, the one that was supposed to launch Rachel and me into our married life, showed a balance of $0 and 0 cents. Every penny, gone. "Let me call them," I said, pulling out my phone. My hands shook as I scrolled to Mom's number. She answered on the 3rd ring, her voice bright and distracted. "Harry, perfect timing. Madison and I are at the bridal boutique. You should see this dress she's trying on. Absolutely stunning. $12,000. Can you believe it? $12,000. For a dress. Using my money. Mom, I'm looking at the wedding fund account. It's empty." A pause. I heard rustling fabric, Madison's voice in the background asking something about lace. Then Mom came back, her tone shifting to something businesslike. "Oh yes, your father and I transferred that 2 weeks ago. We were going to call you, but things have been so hectic with the wedding planning. You transferred $68,000 without asking me? Harry, don't take that tone. Madison's wedding is in 2 months, and Brad's family expects something spectacular. You know his parents are from Connecticut, old money. We can't look cheap in front of them. Brad, Madison's fiancé of 6 months. I'd met him twice. He worked in finance, drove a BMW, and had the kind of smooth confidence that came from never worrying about money. His family owned a summer home in the Hamptons. They vacationed in Europe. They were everything my parents desperately wanted to be. That money was for my wedding," I said, keeping my voice level. "Grandma and Grandpa left it specifically for me." "They left it for both of you," Mom corrected. "You and Madison each got a wedding fund. Madison's planning costs $150,000. Brad's parents are contributing $70,000. Your father and I have already spent $12,000 of our savings. We needed your fund to cover the rest. $150,000. The number made my head spin. Rachel and I had been planning a modest $35,000 wedding. Something simple, elegant, meaningful. The inheritance would have covered it completely, with $33,000 left over for a down payment on a house. "When are you paying me back?" I asked. Another pause. Longer this time. "Well, we'll see. Someday. When we can. Harry, you're a man. You can rebuild. You make good money. Madison only gets one wedding, and we need to make sure it's perfect." I worked as a project manager at a construction firm. $72,000 a year. Good money, sure, but not the kind of money where you could just absorb losing $68,000. Rachel taught 3rd grade, making $48,000. We had $8,000 in combined savings. The venue deposit alone was $5,000, due in 6 days. "Mom, Rachel and I have been planning our wedding for 6 months. We've put deposits down. We've made commitments. Then I suggest you have a courthouse wedding," she said, her voice cooling. "Or wait a few years. You're both young. There's no rush. Madison and Brad, though, they're ready now. And frankly, Harry, after everything your father and I have done for you, I'd think you'd want to support your sister." Rachel was watching me, her brown eyes wide. She'd heard every word through the phone speaker. Her face had gone pale. "I need to talk to Dad," I said. "He's right here." I heard muffled conversation. Then my father's voice came on the line. Deep, authoritative, the voice that had coached my Little League team, that had taught me to drive, that I'd spent my whole life trying to please. "Harry," your mother explained the situation. "I'm going to be blunt with you. If you make trouble about this, you're not welcome at Madison's wedding." We've already told the extended family that you graciously gave your fund to your sister. Everyone thinks you're being generous. If you contradict that now, you'll look petty and jealous. Is that really the image you want? The words hit me like a physical blow. They'd already told everyone. They'd already spun the narrative. I was trapped. You've always been jealous of Madison, Dad continued, ever since you were kids. She was prettier, more popular, more successful. I'd hoped you'd grown out of it, but apparently not. Your mother and I are disappointed in you. He hung up before I could respond. I sat there, phone in hand, staring at nothing. Rachel moved closer, wrapping her arms around me. I could feel her crying against my shoulder, but I couldn't cry. I just felt numb. What do we do? She whispered. I don't know, I said. I honestly don't know. Saturday morning arrived cold and gray. Rachel and I barely spoke during the 40-minute drive to my parents' house in Westchester County. I'd grown up in that house, a large 4-bedroom colonial in an upper-middle-class neighborhood where everyone kept their lawns perfect and their secrets hidden. I'd rehearsed what to say 100 times. Stay calm, be logical, explain that the money was legally mine, held in trust specifically for my wedding, appeal to their sense of fairness, make them understand. But when we pulled into the driveway, my carefully planned speech evaporated. The driveway was full of cars. I recognized my Aunt Carol's silver SUV, my Uncle Tom's pickup truck, and Madison's white Lexus, a gift from Brad. My stomach dropped. They invited the family, Rachel said quietly. Harry, this isn't going to be a conversation. It's going to be an intervention. She was right. I knew it the moment we walked through the front door. The living room was full. Mom and Dad sat on the main couch, flanking Madison like bodyguards. Brad stood behind her, one hand on her shoulder, looking every inch the protective fiancé in his expensive sweater and designer jeans. Aunt Carol occupied the armchair. Uncle Tom leaned against the fireplace, and my cousin Jessica perched on the ottoman, phone in hand. Madison sat in the center, surrounded by wedding binders, fabric samples, and magazine clippings. She looked up as we entered, her face arranged in an expression of wounded sadness. Harry, Mom said, standing. We're so glad you came. We were just showing everyone Madison's wedding plans. The family wants to congratulate you on your generosity. My generosity? The words came out sharper than I intended. Aunt Carol beamed at me. It's so wonderful that you're supporting your sister like this. Not many brothers would give up their wedding fund for their twin. You should be proud. I looked around the room. Every face showed the same expression. Approval. Admiration. They all thought I'd volunteered the money. I didn't give anything, I said. The money was taken without my permission. The room went silent. Madison's eyes filled with tears. She'd always been able to cry on command, even as a kid. It was her superpower. I knew you'd do this, she said, her voice breaking. I knew you'd try to ruin my wedding. Brad stepped forward, his jaw tight. He was tall, maybe 6'3", with the kind of athletic build that came from expensive gym memberships. Is money really more important than your sister's happiness? It's not about the money, I started, but Uncle Tom cut me off. Then what's it about? You're making a scene over a wedding fund when you should be celebrating family. Rachel found her voice. That fund was left specifically for Harry's wedding. His grandparents wanted him to have it for his future. We've been planning our wedding, and now we can't afford it. Aunt Carol made a dismissive sound. You're both young. You'll save again. Madison's wedding is in 2 months. The timing matters. Dad stood, his face hard. Harry's grandparents always favored Madison. They told me privately they hoped the money would help her. She was their favorite grandchild. It was a lie. A complete, bald-faced lie. My grandmother had pulled me aside a month before she died, held my hand, and told me the fund was for my future. She'd made me promise to use it wisely, to build something lasting. But she was dead now. She couldn't defend the truth. Madison has always been more responsible with money, Mom added. We trust her to use it properly. More responsible. I'd worked since I was 16, saved carefully, built a career. Madison had bounced between jobs, relied on our parents for everything, and now was marrying into wealth. But somehow I was the irresponsible one. Madison's sobs grew louder. "I'll call off the wedding," she wailed. "I can't do this. I can't get married knowing my brother hates me." Brad's face darkened. He looked at me with pure contempt. "I didn't realize you came from a family that turns on each other. Maybe Madison's been telling me the truth about you all along." The implication stung. What had Madison been saying about me? What stories had she told Brad's family? My phone buzzed in my pocket. A text from my boss, Gerald. "Need to talk Monday morning. Budget cuts." The words seemed to glow on the screen. Budget cuts. My job. My income. The ground beneath me was crumbling. Rachel saw my face go pale. She grabbed my phone, read the message, and I watched the color drain from her cheeks too. Mom noticed our reaction. She smiled, a small, satisfied smile. "See? You have bigger problems than a wedding. Maybe you should focus on your career instead of harassing your sister." The meeting dissolved after that. People returned to admiring Madison's wedding binder. No one spoke to me or Rachel as we left. We walked to our car in silence, and as I started the engine, I could see them through the living room window. Laughing, celebrating, planning Madison's perfect day, with my money. The drive home felt like a funeral procession. Monday morning, I sat in the conference room at the construction firm's Manhattan office. I'd worked there for 5 years. 5 solid years of showing up early, staying late, managing projects efficiently. I'd thought I was secure. Gerald, my boss, looked uncomfortable. He was a decent guy, mid-50s, with 2 kids in college and a tired smile. "Harry, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. We lost the Anderson contract. It was 40% of our revenue. Corporate is cutting 15% of staff across all departments." My mouth went dry. "And I'm part of that 15%. Your position is being eliminated. I'm sorry. You're a good worker, and this isn't about your performance. It's just numbers." He slid a folder across the table. 2 weeks severance. Health insurance through the end of the month. There's information about unemployment benefits in there. 2 weeks severance. I did the math in my head. $2,800 after taxes. Combined with our $8,000 in savings, we had maybe 3 months before we hit zero. I called Rachel during her lunch break. I could hear children's voices in the background. That particular chaos of 3rd graders at lunchtime. "They let me go," I said. A long pause. "Oh, Harry, we can't afford the wedding venue deposit anymore. If we pay it, and I don't find work immediately, we won't make rent." "Then we don't pay it," she said, her voice steady but strained. "We'll figure something else out." But we both knew what that meant. We'd lose the $5,000 deposit we'd already paid. Just gone. $5,000 we'd saved over a year. Vanished because my parents stole my inheritance. That afternoon I called the wedding venue, a historic inn upstate that we'd fallen in love with. The manager, Susan, had been so kind when we'd booked. She'd shown us the ceremony space overlooking the lake, the reception hall with exposed beams, the bridal suite with the clawfoot tub. "I'm so sorry," I told her. "I need to cancel." "Oh no. Is everything all right?" I couldn't tell her the truth. Couldn't explain that my parents had stolen from me, that I'd lost my job, that everything was falling apart. Financial circumstances changed. "I lost my job today." Her voice softened with genuine sympathy. "I'm so sorry to hear that. Unfortunately, the deposit is non-refundable if you cancel more than 90 days out. You're at 120 days, so technically you could postpone, but if you cancel entirely, the $5,000 is forfeited. $5,000. Gone." I authorized the cancellation and hung up. Rachel came home at 4 o'clock. She found me sitting at our small kitchen table in our 1-bedroom Queens apartment, surrounded by job listing printouts. She set down her bag, kicked off her shoes, and sat across from me. "We need to call my parents," she said. Her parents. Jim and Donna lived in Pennsylvania. He was a retired electrician. She worked retail at a department store. Good people, kind people. People who'd always treated me like family. Rachel made the call. I listened as she explained everything to her mother. The stolen fund, my job loss, our impossible situation. When she hung up, tears streamed down her face. They're sending $3,000. It's all they can spare. $3,000. It was generous. It was selfless. And it wasn't nearly enough. I spent the next 2 days applying for every construction management position in New York. I sent out 47 resumes. I got back automated rejections from 32 companies. The other 15 never responded. The construction industry was slow. The economy was tighter than I'd realized. Every job posting had hundreds of applicants. I was qualified, experienced, and completely invisible in the flood of desperate candidates. Rachel picked up extra tutoring, hours after school. We lived on pasta and canned soup. We stopped going out. We stopped everything, except surviving. And through it all, Madison's Instagram account was a constant knife to the heart. She posted daily updates, photos from the venue, a waterfront estate, her designer dress fitting, all lace and crystal beading, the engagement party at the country club, with ice sculptures and a live band. I blocked her account, but Rachel kept showing me anyway. You need to see what they took from you, she said. You need to stay angry. 5 days after I lost my job, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Harry? This is William, Brad's father. My entire body went rigid. William was the patriarch of Brad's family, owned a commercial real estate firm. Old money, connections, power. I'd met him once at Madison and Brad's engagement party. He'd shaken my hand with the grip of someone who was used to being obeyed. I heard about your situation, he said. His voice was smooth, cultured. Layoffs are difficult. I remember the recession years. Brutal for young professionals. Thank you, I managed. I'd like to offer you a position at my firm. We need a project manager for our commercial developments. $75,000 a year to start. Benefits, retirement matching, the full package. You'd be an asset to our team. $75,000. $3,000 more than my previous job. Benefits, security, everything I desperately needed. Why? The word came out before I could stop it. William chuckled. Family takes care of family, Harry. You're going to be my son's brother-in-law. Besides, your resume is impressive. You're qualified for the position. This is a smart business decision that also happens to help family. Win-win. He gave me 24 hours to decide. After I hung up, I sat staring at my phone. Rachel watched me from the couch. That's incredible, she said. Harry, that's the answer. Take it. But I couldn't shake the feeling in my gut. The timing was too perfect. The offer too generous. This wasn't kindness. This was a buyout. Accept the job. Stay quiet about the stolen money. Become dependent on Brad's family for my income. They were buying my silence and my dignity. I don't know if I can, I said. Rachel's face hardened in a way I'd never seen before. We're 3 weeks from being unable to pay rent. Your pride isn't going to keep us housed. She was right. God help me. She was right. The next morning, I called William back and accepted the position. I started at William's commercial real estate firm the following Monday. The office was in Lower Manhattan, all glass and steel and expensive furniture. My cubicle had a view of the harbor. The coffee was imported. The bathrooms had heated floors. William welcomed me personally, shaking my hand in front of the whole floor. Everyone, this is Harry. He's family, and I expect you to treat him accordingly. Family. The word felt like a brand. He assigned me to handle permits and inspections for a strip mall renovation in Queens. It was entry-level work, far beneath my experience. I'd managed multi-million-dollar construction projects. Now I was filing paperwork and scheduling building inspectors, but I swallowed my pride. The paychecks came every 2 weeks. Rachel and I caught up on bills. We saved her parents $3,000 for emergencies. We canceled all our wedding plans and decided to elope quietly in the fall, maybe at a courthouse or a small ceremony with just a few friends. Rachel put on a brave face, but I could see the sadness in her eyes whenever she looked at her engagement ring. 6 weeks after I started the new job, Madison's wedding week arrived. The formal invitation had been delivered by courier. Heavy cardstock with gold embossing. Black tie required. 300 guests. Ceremony at 5 in the evening at a waterfront estate in the Hudson Valley. Reception to follow. "We don't have to go," Rachel said as we stood in our bedroom, staring at the invitation propped on the dresser. "Yes, we do," I said. "If we don't go, they win completely. They'll tell everyone I was too jealous to celebrate my sister's happiness. This way we show up, we're civil, and we maintain some dignity." We rented formal wear we couldn't afford. Rachel's dress was simple and black, elegant but understated. My tuxedo was a rental, slightly too tight in the shoulders. We looked presentable but not wealthy. Not like people who belonged at a $150,000 wedding. The drive to the venue took 2 hours through Saturday afternoon traffic. As we turned into the estate grounds, my breath caught. It was stunning. Rolling lawns swept down to the water's edge. White tents billowed in the breeze. An orchestra played classical music. Valet attendants took our car keys. Champagne appeared in our hands before we'd walked 10 feet from the parking area. Everything my money had paid for. We were seated in the back with distant cousins I barely knew. Immediate family filled the front rows. I could see the back of Mom's head, her hair professionally styled. Dad wore a new suit. Madison's bridesmaids glittered in silver gowns. The ceremony began. Madison walked down the aisle on Dad's arm, and I had to admit she looked beautiful. Her dress probably did cost $12,000. It fit perfectly, flowing behind her like water. Brad waited at the altar, looking proud and handsome. The officiant spoke for 20 minutes about love and family and commitment. I barely heard the words. I was too busy calculating costs. The flowers alone probably cost $8,000. The chairs, the arch, the musicians. Every detail was perfect and expensive. Brad's family filled half the seats. Women in designer gowns, men in custom suits. They looked like they'd stepped out of a magazine spread. My family, on the other side, looked like we were trying very hard to fit in. Aunt Carol's dress was nice but clearly off the rack. Uncle Tom kept tugging at his collar. During the vows, Dad gave a speech about his precious daughter. He talked about raising Madison, about her kindness and beauty and grace. He thanked Brad's family for welcoming her. He thanked everyone for coming to celebrate. He didn't mention me once. The reception was even more elaborate. A 5-course dinner with wine pairings. A live band that probably cost $15,000 for the night. Professional dancers performed between courses. An ice sculpture in the shape of intertwined hearts slowly melted in the center of the room. Rachel tried to get me to dance. I refused. I sat at our table in the back, drinking too much whiskey, watching my parents beam with pride at their accomplishment. Then came the toasts. Madison's maid of honor spoke about their friendship since college. Funny stories, sweet memories. Then Mom took the microphone. "I want to thank everyone for being here tonight," she said, her voice carrying across the tent. "This celebration wouldn't be possible without the love and support of our family. I especially want to recognize my son Harry, Madison's wonderful brother who has supported her every step of the way." The room applauded. People turned to look at me. Some raised their glasses in my direction. Supported her every step. Not financially, not with my inheritance. Just vague, meaningless words that made everyone think I'd given emotional support while maintaining some dignity. I sat there, frozen, while Rachel squeezed my hand hard enough to hurt. The reception continued. Dancing, more champagne, cake cutting. I went to the bathroom to escape, to breathe, to not scream. In the hallway, I ran into Dad. He was drunk, his face flushed, his tie loosened. "Great party," he said, grinning. "See? Everything worked out. Madison got her dream wedding." Something inside me snapped. "You stole from me." His grin faded. "We gave you a job. You're doing fine. A job I never would have needed if you hadn't taken my money. Watch your tone." His voice dropped to the dangerous quiet I remembered from childhood. "We're at your sister's wedding. You will not cause a scene. You already caused the scene. You just made sure nobody saw it." He stepped closer, and for a moment, I thought he might actually hit me. "You, ungrateful little punk. After everything we've done for you, fed you, clothed you, put a roof over your head for 18 years. And you can't give your sister one day without making it about yourself. Before I could respond, Brad appeared in the hallway. He must have heard our voices raised. He looked between us, his face tight. Everything okay here? Dad immediately shifted, his public face sliding back into place. Just having a father-son chat. All good, but Brad's eyes stayed on me. He waited until Dad walked away, back toward the reception. Then he pulled me aside, his voice low and urgent. I heard some of that. Look, I need to tell you something. I didn't know about the fund until 2 weeks ago. My father told me as a funny story about solving your job problem. I didn't think it was funny. I stared at him. You knew? Not until recently. My dad explained it like it was all very reasonable. Family, helping family. But I could tell something was off. I asked Madison about it last week. She said it was complicated. He looked uncomfortable, guilty even. I love your sister, but I didn't sign up for this kind of family drama. The pressure to have this massive wedding, it mostly came from your parents. They wanted to impress my family. My parents actually suggested something smaller. Before I could process this information, Madison appeared. She'd been drinking too, her makeup slightly smudged, her movements unsteady. What are you two talking about? Her voice had an edge. Nothing, Brad said quickly, but Madison's eyes locked on me. You're ruining my day with your attitude. You've been sitting there sulking all night. Madison, not now. Brad tried. $12,000. For a dress. Using my money. I'm not jealous, I said quietly. I'm robbed. She slapped me. The sound echoed in the hallway. My cheek stung. People were gathering now, drawn by the raised voices. Someone had their phone out. I could see the camera pointed at us. Security appeared, 2 large men in dark suits. They gently but firmly guided Madison away. She was crying, yelling something I couldn't make out. Brad followed, shooting me an apologetic look. You've always been jealous of me, she hissed. Always. You can't stand that I'm happy. We walked out through the tent, past the startled guests, past my parents' horrified faces. Nobody tried to stop us. We got our car from the valet and drove away as the sun was setting over the Hudson River. Rachel materialized beside me, her face pale. We need to leave. Now. My phone buzzed. An email. I opened it with shaking hands. It was from HR at Williams' firm. Termination notice. Effective Monday morning. Reason given. Performance issues. I'd been used and discarded. Rachel pulled over at a rest stop. I showed her the email. She read it twice, then looked at me with tears streaming down her face. What do we do now? She whispered. I don't know, I said. I honestly don't know. Sunday morning I woke up on the couch. I didn't remember falling asleep there. Rachel was in the bedroom with the door closed. The apartment felt heavy with silence. My wedding fund was gone. My job was gone. My family had betrayed me and turned everyone against me. I had maybe $6,000 in the bank and no prospects. Rachel's teaching salary couldn't cover our expenses alone. I'd hit rock bottom. Monday afternoon, Rachel called me during her lunch break. Her voice was frantic. Harry, you need to see this. Check your social media. Any platform. I opened my phone. My notifications were exploding. Hundreds of tags, mentions, messages from people I barely knew. The video was everywhere. Someone at the wedding had recorded Madison slapping me. They'd posted it with the caption, entitled Bride Slaps Brother at Her Reception. 8 million views in 24 hours. The comments were overwhelmingly on my side. This is abuse. What did he even do? Rich people are insane. Feel bad for the brother. People had started digging. They'd found Madison's Instagram. Her comment sections were flooded with criticism. She'd made everything private, but screenshots were circulating. Her perfectly curated wedding posts now looked tone-deaf and excessive. I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no vindication, just emptiness. Tuesday morning, Mom called. I almost didn't answer. Do you see what you've done? She was screaming. Madison is devastated. Her wedding is ruined. People are attacking her online. You created this scene, And now you've embarrassed this entire family. I didn't post the video. You provoked her. You've been jealous and spiteful since the moment she got engaged. Now you need to fix this. Post a statement defending your sister. Tell everyone it was a misunderstanding. No. Excuse me? I said no. I'm not lying for you anymore. After we gave you a job, I was fired yesterday. Didn't William tell you? They used me and threw me away. A pause. Then, well, that's your own fault. You obviously didn't perform well enough. She hung up on me. That evening, Rachel sat me down at our kitchen table. She looked exhausted, her eyes red from crying. She'd been patient through everything, supportive, loving, but I could see her breaking. I need to say something, and I need you to really hear me. Her hands were shaking. I love you. I want to marry you. But I can't marry someone who won't stand up for himself. I've watched you let your parents walk all over you for months. I've watched you swallow every insult, every lie, every manipulation, and I can't do it anymore. She took off her engagement ring, set it on the table between us. I'm not leaving you, but I'm not marrying you either. Not until you're ready to be the man I said yes to. The man who stands up for what's right, who protects his family, who doesn't let people steal from him and then thank them for it. The ring sat there, catching the overhead light. A simple solitaire on a white gold band. I'd saved for 6 months to buy it. Rachel, I mean it, Harry. When you're ready to fight back, really fight back, I'll put this ring back on. But not before. She went to bed. I stayed at the table, staring at the ring, until the sun came up. The next 2 weeks were the worst of my life. I applied for jobs mechanically, going through the motions. I went to the unemployment office, sat in a waiting room full of desperate people, and filed my claim. But William's company contested it, claiming I'd been terminated for cause. That meant no unemployment benefits. I'd have to appeal, which could take months. Rachel worked extra tutoring hours. We barely spoke. The engagement ring stayed on the table, a constant reminder of everything I'd lost. 2 weeks after the wedding, at 2 a.m, I was lying awake. Sleep wouldn't come. I checked my email obsessively, hoping for a job offer, a lifeline, anything. A new message appeared. The sender was an email address I didn't recognize. Subject line: You deserve to know the truth. I opened it. I've watched what your parents did to you. I can't stay silent anymore. The attached documents show where your money really went. You deserve to have this information. What you do with it is up to you. A friend. There were 3 PDF attachments. Bank statements. I opened the first one. It was my parents' checking account. I could see the transfer from my trust fund, $68,000, dated 2 months before Madison's engagement was announced. But only $40,000 had gone to wedding vendors. $28,000 had been transferred to something called Emerald Coast Investments. 1 week before Madison even got engaged, I sat up, suddenly wide awake. What was Emerald Coast Investments? I searched online. It was a timeshare resort development company in Florida. They sold luxury vacation condos. The second PDF was a purchase agreement. My father's name on the signature line. A 2-bedroom timeshare unit in a beachfront resort. Purchase price, $28,000 down payment, then monthly maintenance fees. They'd bought themselves a vacation property. With my money. And told everyone it had all gone to Madison's wedding. The third PDF was promotional materials. Glossy photos of the resort, promises of investment opportunities and retirement dreams. The property was in Dad's name only. I read through everything 3 times. My hands shook so badly I almost dropped the phone. They'd lied to everyone. To me, to Madison, to the family. They hadn't just taken my money for my sister's wedding. They'd stolen it to buy themselves a luxury vacation property and used Madison's wedding as cover. The anonymous sender had included a final note at the bottom. They lied to everyone. Brad's family found out something was wrong last week. That's the real reason William fired you. He discovered this and wanted distance from your parents' fraud. He was trying to protect his son from being associated with it. I thought you should have ammunition. You deserve justice. Sunrise came. Rachel found me still sitting at the computer. She read the documents. Her face went through shock, then anger, then something cold and determined. "Now what are you going to do?" she asked. I looked at my engagement ring, still sitting on the table where she'd left it. "I'm going to fight back," I said. I spent the entire day organizing evidence. Screenshots, bank statements, receipts, a complete timeline. Rachel helped me create a detailed document that laid out everything. The theft, the lies, the timeshare purchase, all of it. We debated going public versus confronting them privately. Part of me wanted to blast it all over social media, to expose them the way they'd exposed me. But Rachel argued for trying the legal route first. "You want justice, not revenge," she said. "There's a difference." Tuesday morning, I used precious savings to consult with an estate attorney. Her name was Patricia, a sharp woman in her 60s who'd seen every kind of family drama imaginable. She reviewed the trust documents my grandparents had created. "This is clear-cut," she said. "The money was designated specifically for your wedding expenses. Your parents, as trustees, had a fiduciary duty to preserve those funds for their intended purpose. They breached that duty. You have grounds to sue for full recovery plus damages. How much would that cost? To pursue this properly? $20,000 in legal fees, minimum. Could take years. Civil cases move slowly. I didn't have $20,000. I barely had $6,000. Patricia saw my face. "There's another option. I can draft a cease and desist letter demanding full repayment within 30 days. If they refuse, then you decide whether to pursue litigation. Sometimes the threat is enough to force a settlement." We went with the letter. Patricia drafted it that afternoon, laying out the breach of trust in formal legal language. She demanded $68,000 within 30 days. She attached copies of the Florida timeshare documents as evidence that the funds hadn't been used solely for Madison's wedding. I read it 3 times before authorizing her to send it via certified mail. "They'll receive it tomorrow," Patricia said. Then the clock starts. That night, Rachel and I sat together for the first time in weeks. Really sat together, not just existing in the same space. "Are you sure about this?" she asked. "I'm sure about fighting back. I'm not sure what happens after. Your family will hate you. They already do. They just haven't admitted it yet." She leaned against me. We stayed like that for a long time. Friday evening, my phone exploded. Calls from Mom, Dad, Aunt Carol, Uncle Tom, cousins I hadn't heard from in years. I ignored all of them. At 8 o'clock, the doorbell rang. Through the peephole I saw Dad. His face was red, his jaw tight. He looked like he might break down the door. Rachel called 911, while I opened the door with the chain still attached. "How dare you?" Dad snarled. "How dare you threaten us with lawyers? You stole from me. We borrowed money from the family trust. That's not stealing. You bought a timeshare in Florida. That's not Madison's wedding." He went pale. "Who told you about that? Does it matter? You lied. To me, to Madison, to everyone. It's an investment. We'll pay you back from the profits." That's what people always say when they steal money. He tried to push the door open. The chain held. Rachel appeared behind me, phone to her ear, speaking to the police dispatcher. "We're sending a unit now," I heard her say. Dad heard it too. He backed off, but his face was pure rage. "You're dead to me. You hear me? You're not my son anymore. You've destroyed this family." The police arrived minutes later. They asked Dad to leave. He went, but not before shouting threats about lawyers and lawsuits and how I'd regret this. Saturday morning my phone rang. Madison. She was crying so hard I could barely understand her. Brad showed me. He showed me what people are posting online. Someone leaked the financial documents. Everyone knows about the timeshare now. I didn't know, Harry. I swear I didn't know they took your money for anything except my wedding. Did you ever ask where they got the money? I assumed it was from savings. Or a loan. I didn't think about it. I was so focused on planning everything. Her voice broke. People are destroying me online. They're calling me a spoiled brat. They're saying Brad should divorce me. I can't take this. Then help me. Tell the truth. Tell everyone you didn't know about the timeshare. I can't go against Mom and Dad. They're my parents. They're mine too. And they stole from me. She hung up. Sunday afternoon, the extended family took sides. Aunt Carol posted on Facebook defending my parents, calling me ungrateful and vindictive. Some younger cousins reached out privately, saying they supported me but couldn't say so publicly. Uncle Tom stopped speaking to everyone. The family group chat I'd left exploded with arguments. Rachel showed me screenshots. People were fighting about loyalty, about money, about who was right and who was wrong. My parents posted a vague message on social media, dealing with family difficulties. Some people can't handle others' success. We'll get through this with grace. Monday morning, my phone rang. A number I didn't recognize, but local area code. I answered cautiously. Harry, this is William, Brad's father. I braced myself for another fight. I owe you an explanation and an apology. His voice was different now. Humble, even contrite. I fired you because I discovered something at the wedding. Your father was drunk, bragging to some guests about how he'd handled you by giving you a job, how you were now dependent on our family and couldn't make waves about the money. I felt sick. I realized I'd been used as part of their manipulation. I couldn't speak. I fired you because I wanted distance from the whole situation. But that was wrong. I punished you for your parents' behavior, so I'm calling to offer you your position back, with a raise to $80,000. You're qualified for the work. You were doing well, and you deserve better than how I treated you. Why should I trust you? You shouldn't. I wouldn't, in your position, but I'm trying to make it right. The offer stands for 30 days. Think about it. He hung up. Rachel found me standing in the kitchen, staring at nothing. William called. Offered me my job back. $80,000. That's good, she said carefully. Is it? Or is it another trap? I think some people are capable of learning, of admitting mistakes. She touched my arm. You don't have to decide right now, but I did decide. That afternoon I called William back and accepted, with one condition. I'd take the job, but I wasn't dropping the legal demand against my parents. He agreed immediately. I wouldn't expect you to, he said. Day 28 of the 30-day deadline approached. I'd heard nothing from my parents. Patricia said that wasn't unusual. They were probably consulting their own lawyer, trying to find a way out. On day 28, at 3 in the afternoon, my phone rang. Unknown number. Manhattan area code. Is this Harry? Yes. This is Detective Sarah Chen from the District Attorney's Office in Westchester County. We'd like to talk to you about your parents. Do you have time to come in this week? My blood ran cold. Why? What's happened? We're investigating them for financial fraud. You're not the only victim. We'd like your evidence and testimony. The room spun. Other victims? Your parents were trustees for 3 other family trust funds over the past 2 years. They've stolen from all of them. Total estimated theft is over $200,000. The timeshare was purchased with money from multiple sources, not just yours. I sat down hard. Who else did they steal from? I can't discuss other victims, but suffice to say, they've been running this scheme for a while. Your case is actually what broke it open. When you sent that cease and desist letter, it prompted the other families to investigate their own accounts. They all filed complaints last week. What happens now? We're building a criminal case. Grand jury indictment is likely. We'd like your cooperation. Your evidence is crucial, and if I cooperate, your parents will likely face multiple felony charges. They're looking at significant prison time if convicted. Prison. My parents in prison. The thought should have given me satisfaction, but it just made me feel hollow. An hour later, Madison called, hysterical. The police searched our parents' house. They took boxes of documents. Mom and Dad were arrested. Harry, they arrested them. They're being charged with fraud. Multiple counts. Their lawyer says they could go to prison for years. I know. You knew? Did you do this? I filed a civil complaint. Other people filed criminal complaints. This isn't just about me, Madison. Please don't testify against them. Please. They're our parents. They're criminals. They made mistakes. They'll pay the money back. Don't send them to prison. That's not my choice. That's up to the DA and the courts. She was sobbing. Brad is furious. His family wants nothing to do with us now. He's talking about getting the marriage annulled. We've been married 3 months, and it's over. Everything is falling apart, and it's your fault. No, I said quietly. It's their fault. They did this, not me. I hung up. Rachel found me on the couch, head in my hands. Madison called. She's losing everything. Her marriage, her reputation, her family. Because of what I set in motion. Because of what your parents did, Rachel corrected. You didn't steal from people. You didn't lie. You didn't commit fraud. You just refused to be silent about it. Then why do I feel like the villain? Because you're a good person. Good people feel guilt, even when they're doing the right thing. That's what makes you different from them. She picked up her engagement ring from where it had sat for weeks. She held it out to me, put it back on my finger. I looked up at her, confused. You fought back. You stood up for yourself. You protected our future. That's the man I wanted to marry. So ask me again. My hands shook as I took the ring. I got down on one knee, right there in our living room. Rachel, will you marry me? Yes, she said, crying. Yes, I will. 6 weeks later, I sat in the district attorney's conference room. The walls were that specific shade of government beige that seemed designed to drain hope. Detective Chen sat across from me, along with Assistant District Attorney Marcus Webb, a sharp man in his 40s with the tired eyes of someone who'd seen too much family ugliness. I gave my full statement. Every detail, from the day I discovered the empty account to the timeshare documents. I provided everything Patricia had organized. Bank records, emails, the trust documents my grandparents had created. This is solid, Webb said, reviewing the files. Combined with the other victims' evidence, we have more than enough for conviction. Your parents are looking at multiple counts of fraud, breach of fiduciary duty, and theft. The sentencing guidelines suggest 5 to 15 years per count. 15 years. My mother could be 70 before she got out. My father would be in his mid-70s. Their attorney is pushing for a plea deal, Webb continued. Wants to avoid trial. We're considering it. Trials are expensive and traumatic for everyone involved. If they plead guilty, we're looking at reduced sentences. Maybe 4 years for your father, 3 for your mother. Full restitution to all victims as part of the deal. How much restitution? Total of $212,000 across all victims. The timeshare is being seized and sold. That'll cover about $30,000. The rest will come from their other assets, retirement accounts, savings, possibly forcing a sale of their house. I thought about that house, the Colonial in Westchester where I'd grown up, where I'd learned to ride a bike in the driveway, where we'd had Christmas mornings and birthday parties. It would be sold to pay back the people my parents had stolen from. 2 months after I gave my statement, the plea hearing took place. I attended. Rachel came with me, holding my hand in the courthouse hallway. The courtroom was formal, cold. My parents were led in wearing orange jumpsuits. Mom had lost weight. Her hair was gray, no longer dyed the careful brown she'd maintained for years. Dad looked older, defeated, his shoulders slumped. They pled guilty to all charges, admitted to everything in front of the judge. The sentencing came immediately. Daniel, you are sentenced to 4 years in state prison. Linda, you are sentenced to 3 years. You will pay full restitution to your victims in the amount of $212,000. All assets will be liquidated to satisfy this debt. The judge's gavel fell. Guards led my parents away. I sat in the courtroom for a long time after everyone else left. Rachel waited patiently beside me. How do you feel? She asked finally. Empty, I said. I thought I'd feel vindicated or satisfied. But I just feel sad. That's okay. You're allowed to feel sad. The extended family shattered. Aunt Carol, after the initial shock wore off, came to me with tears streaming down her face. She'd received $10,000 from my parents 18 months ago. They'd told her it was a gift. Now she understood it was stolen money. She'd have to pay it back. I'm so sorry, Harry, she sobbed. I defended them. I thought you were being cruel. I didn't know. Uncle Tom never spoke to anyone again. He cut ties with the whole family, moved to Arizona, started over. The younger cousins, Jessica and her brother Mark, reached out. They were horrified by what their aunt and uncle had done. Jessica came to visit, bringing coffee and apologies. "We should have believed you from the start," she said. "We just couldn't imagine our own family doing something like that." "Neither could I said. 4 months after the sentencing, a check arrived in the mail. $68,000. Full restitution from the liquidation of my parents' assets. Their house had sold. Their retirement accounts had been drained. The timeshare seized and auctioned. I deposited the check and sat with Rachel at our kitchen table, the same table where I'd discovered the theft, where she'd taken off her ring, where we'd planned our fight back. "It's over," I said. "No," Rachel said gently. "It's beginning." That evening, I took her to the park where I'd proposed the first time. Same bench, same view of the playground and the pond. 2 years had passed since that day. I got down on one knee again, even though she was already wearing the ring. "I know I already asked, and you already said yes, but I want to ask as the man you needed me to be. Rachel, I've learned what it means to stand up for myself, to protect what matters, to choose integrity over comfort. Will you marry me, knowing that I'll never let anyone hurt us like that again?" She was crying, smiling. "Yes, always yes." 3 months later, we got married in the same park, 50 guests. Rachel's family took up most of the seats. A few of my cousins came. Jessica stood as a witness. My parents weren't there. They were in prison, still serving their sentences. Madison sent a gift but didn't attend. She'd divorced Brad after 8 months of marriage. His family had insisted on an annulment, claiming fraud in the inducement of marriage. She'd moved to California, was working retail, trying to start over far from the scandal. We spoke occasionally now, careful conversations where we avoided mentioning our parents. She'd sent a card with the wedding gift. "I'm sorry for everything. I hope you're happy. You deserve it." The ceremony was simple. A friend officiated. We wrote our own vows. Rachel promised to challenge me to be better. I promised to never stop fighting for our family. Total cost, $18,000. We used the remaining $50,000 as a down payment on a small house in a New Jersey suburb, 30 minutes from Manhattan, 3 bedrooms, a yard, a mortgage we could afford. Work went well. William had been true to his word. I thrived at the firm, getting promoted within a year to senior project manager. The raise brought me to $95,000 annually. I was good at my job, respected by my colleagues, building a real career. Brad and I developed a cautious friendship. We'd meet for lunch occasionally. He was dating someone new, a lawyer who had no connection to either of our families. He seemed happier, lighter. "I'm sorry about everything," he said over coffee one afternoon. "I should have seen what was happening. You were in love. Love makes people blind." "Still does, apparently," he said, showing me a photo of his new girlfriend. They looked good together, genuine. A year after our wedding, Rachel told me she was pregnant. We celebrated quietly, just the two of us, in our small house with our secondhand furniture and our hard-won peace. Our daughter was born on a Tuesday morning in April. We named her Emma, after Rachel's grandmother. She had Rachel's eyes and my stubborn chin. I held her in the hospital, this tiny person who depended on me completely, and I made her a promise. "I will always protect you. I will always tell you the truth, and I will teach you to stand up for yourself, even when it's hard." Life settled into a rhythm. Work, home, family, simple things that felt extraordinary because we'd fought so hard for them. Madison reached out when Emma was born. She sent a card and a gift, asked if she could video chat to see her niece. We arranged a call. It was awkward at first, but Emma smiled at the screen, and Madison cried. "She's beautiful," Madison said. "You're going to be a great dad." "Thanks. I'm in therapy now, trying to understand how things got so messed up. My therapist says Mom and Dad pitted us against each other our whole lives, made me the golden child and you the disappointment. We never had a chance at a real relationship. We have a chance now," I said, "if we both want it." "I do. I really do." It wasn't a full reconciliation. We didn't become close, but we texted sometimes, sent photos, maintained a careful connection. It was something, My parents were released from prison after serving their full sentences. Dad got out first, then Mom, 3 months later. They moved to Arizona, near Uncle Tom, though he still wouldn't speak to them. They reached out once, through a mediator, asking if we could talk. I declined. Rachel asked if I was sure. I don't hate them, I said. I don't wish them harm. But they're not safe people. They're not people I can trust around my daughter. Some boundaries need to stay in place. Some family members criticized me for being cold. Aunt Carol, despite her earlier apology, suggested I should forgive and move on. They're still your parents, she said. They're still the people who stole from me and lied about it, I replied. Forgiveness doesn't mean letting them back in to hurt me again. 2 years after Emma was born, Rachel and I sat on our back porch while she napped inside. We'd planted a garden, were planning to add a deck, talking about maybe trying for a second child. Do you ever regret it? Rachel asked. Fighting back? Everything that happened after? I thought about it. Really thought about it. No. It cost me my parents, most of my extended family, my sense of safety in the world. But it gave me something more valuable. What's that? My dignity. My self-respect. The knowledge that I can stand up for myself, even when everyone tells me I'm wrong. I'm not the person I was 2 years ago. That person would have let them take the money, would have shown up at Madison's wedding and smiled, would have spent the rest of his life swallowing resentment and calling it love. And this person knows the difference between family and people who use family as an excuse to hurt you. This person knows that real strength isn't keeping the peace at any cost. It's protecting what matters, even when it's terrifying. Rachel leaned against me. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of us. Emma started crying inside. We both stood, and I went to get her. She reached for me immediately, her small hands grabbing my shirt. I held her close and thought about everything I'd learned. Family is supposed to protect you, not exploit you. When they cross that line, you have every right to protect yourself, even if it means walking away. Some people will call you cold. Some will say you should forgive and forget. But there's a difference between holding a grudge and having boundaries. I don't hate my parents. I don't wish them harm. But I also don't owe them access to my life, my wife, my daughter. They made choices that destroyed our relationship. I made choices that built a new life. And honestly, I'm happier now than I ever was trying to earn their love. If you're in a situation where family is using you, manipulating you, stealing from you, walk away. It'll hurt. People will judge you. But on the other side of that pain is peace. Real peace. And that's worth more than all the money in the world. Sometimes the best inheritance isn't what you're given. It's what you refuse to lose. I carried Emma to the window. The afternoon sun was warm on our faces. Our small house, our small life, our hard-won happiness. See that, Emma? I said softly. This is what fighting for yourself looks like. This is what standing up for what's right looks like. And someday, when you're old enough, I'll tell you the whole story. I'll teach you to be strong, to be honest, to never let anyone make you smaller than you are. She gurgled and grabbed my nose. Rachel laughed from the doorway. This was my family now. The one I'd fought for, the one I'd protected, the one I'd chosen, and who'd chosen me back. And it was enough. It was more than enough. It was everything. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to choose between family loyalty and protecting yourself? Have you experienced betrayal from people you trusted? What would you have done in my situation? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more real-life stories about overcoming family challenges and finding your strength. Share this with someone who needs to hear that it's okay to set boundaries, even with family. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it helps someone out there who's struggling with similar choices. Remember, you deserve respect, honesty, and people who genuinely care about your well-being. Don't settle for less. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.